I'm gonna show you how to find out intrinsic value of stock price. So here I have this XYZ company. So forecasted cash flows. In year one we have negative cash flow, and we have positive cash flows in year 2 to 4. So we have cash flow information, and we have discount rate, which is WACC in this case, and we have, if you read this line here carefully, these cash flows, they're going to be growing. So free cash flows are expected to continue growing at the same rate after year 4 is from year 3 to 4. So basically, here is some information hiding. So we need to figure out when do the when are this cash flow when do this cash flow start getting constant growth. That's the key thing we need to figure out here. So let's see here again. The cash flow rate, the cash flow growth is same as from year 3 to 4. Basically, that means the growth rate of the cash flows is constant after year 3. Okay, so let's summarize this information here. We have growth rate. We need to figure out that growth rate because we don't know here. We have those numbers because after year 3 to year 4, we have the number is given here. We don't have the growth rate. So let's find out the growth rate. Growth rate is basically is a percentage change. So equal to, we have ending value 2000. That's number year 4 minus beginning value divided by the beginning value. So here it is coming dollar because it's format. So let's change the format in percentage. We have 3.7%. That's the growth rate. So basically, this problem is saying that from in year 1 we have negative 30 cash flow, and in year 2 we have 70, in year 3 we have 81, and then after year 3 the cash flow is gonna grow by 3.7% forever. Okay, so basically here all these future cash flow, you can keep on going for hundreds of years. You can go for thousands of years. Really you can go as long as you want. But the key here is it's not going to make any difference because you don't have to do any extra work. You don't have to go next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Basically, after year 3, okay, after year 3, so this is, let me put here a sign. So after year 3, the cash flow are constant. Okay, so that is very important point to note because you need to find out the terminal value. Terminal value basically means the value of all future cash flow. Okay, so the value of all future cash flow at that time. So basically at time 3, the value of all future cash flow means time 4, time 5, time 6, as you name it's like time n, so n could be 100 years. So all those future cash flows, how much they are worth 8 times 3, that is the terminal value of all future cash flow. We call that value horizon value. So let's figure out that. Okay, so here I'm gonna write horizon value or terminal value. So basically, as I said, this is gonna be year 3. So basically, the formula for horizon value is, we can just let me do the formula thing here. The formula for horizon value is basically, horizon value is cash flow of that time period, okay, plus 1 plus growth So the cash flow at time 3 times 1 plus growth rate divided by WACC minus growth rate. Okay, well, so what is that this number means? CFN times 1 plus G means. Basically, that means the value at time 3 means, so horizon value at time n means here n equals to 3 equal to, okay, that equal to basically we have free cash flow 8 times n plus 1, right? That one n plus 1 divided by WACC minus growth rate. Okay, so here this free cash flow n plus 1 equals to free cash flow n times a1 plus g. So which is, we already have that number in this case. It's given. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that multiplication. One extra step is not needed. So let's figure out this one. Equal to free cash flow at time n plus 1 divided by your WACC, which is 8%, minus your growth rate, which is 3%. Okay, so you got this number here is 1900. So look here, this number. Okay, that's your horizon value. Okay, so that's your terminal value. So let me just put this one here, just a line here. So I'm going to call this cash flow net free cash flows. Okay, so let me add this number together because I don't want to do step by step. So plus this number, basically just want to use the Excel formula. So now we have the cash flows. Okay, once you have the cash flows, how to find out the value of, so we actually this answer is actually, let me put here is A, here is B, and here is C. So just make them visible. So we answer question number A. Okay, that's the answer for question number A. What is the terminal value? What is the horizon value? And how do you find that? That's the basically cash flow of next year divided by WACC minus growth rate. Okay, so in year 3 we have actually free cash flow and then the horizon value. Add them together. These are the net cash flows. Okay, so what is the value of operation? Now we are doing number B. Okay, number B. So what is the value of operation? Equals to value of, so let me put short one, value of operation. This one equals to sum of the present value of all future cash flows. Okay, so basically what does that mean is you need to find out the present value of that negative $30, positive $70 in year 2, and then it's $2,036 in year 3. So do you want to do step by step? Well, it's a lot of work, so let me show you how to do step by step. So present value equals to future value divided by 1 plus R, which is WACC in this case. So let me put WACC, okay, and raised to n. Okay, so basically that means if you want to find present value of this 30. So what you can do is equals to, let's do this formula here, future value, actually this is time 0, let me put time 0 here. So that's going to be a little better. So this is time 0. Okay, so you want to find out the value in this time 0. Okay, so let's find this value here. What is the value of this $30 right now? So this one equals to $30 divided by 1 plus cost of capital raised to, so this is time, how long? So 1 period, right? So raised to 1, it's going to give you value, present value of the first cash flow. Now let's do the same thing for second cash flow. This second cash flow divided by 1 plus WACC, and this is the second year, so we are discounting 2 times. Okay, so we are discounting this one 2 times, so it's gonna be raised to 2, so it's worth $60. And now let's do the next number, this one divided by 1 plus this WACC raised to, because it's year 3, so we have to discount 3 times, is this one. So let's do the sum of all these numbers. So this one equals, just do the summation function. So sum is this number. Okay, so this is um, the present value of operation. This value of operation equal to this number. Okay, so is the present sum of the sum of EVs. Okay, equals to this. So the value of operation in this case is 1648.62. Okay, uh, you can you can solve this problem using financial calculator. You can use Excel. Let's use Excel. Okay, let me put this one is um, using formula. Okay, how about using Excel? Excel. Okay, here. So basically, uh, value of operation here is sum of the present value of all future cash. We can use NPV function in the financial calculator. NPV equals to basically, so let's use function NPV, and these are uneven cash flows, so these are cash flows are changing. That's why 30, 70, this one. So we have to use NPV function in finance and Excel. So let's use NPV equals to you write NPV, or you can use the function. So it's asking for rate. So rate is discount rate, which is 8%, and then it's asking for other values. So let's select these values, close the parentheses. That's gonna be NPV basically equals to is, in this case, is present value. Actually, it's the sum of the present value, right? So this is the value of operation using Excel. Okay, so let me highlight this one. So our answer here is both of them mean same thing, but we are just using different tools. Okay, well, let me use a financial calculator. Okay, financial calculator. So how much is NPV? Or NPV equals to, yeah, in this case, present value equals to how much is that? Okay, so let me This is my financial calculator now. This is TI Texas Instrument D80 Plus financial calculator. And I always want to use 4 decimal. So if you want to format second, format, put 4, it's gonna give you 4 decimal. And if you want to know more about financial calculator, I have posted financial calculator manual on your course website, so you can download this manual from the course website. And also I have some examples done. You can look the examples how it's done in your financial calculator for both HP and TI to this financial calculator. Okay, so we have uneven cash flows. Okay, 30, 70, and 2000. That number. So we normally use these 5 keys to find the present value, future value, payments, interest rate, or the number of times. But in this case, we're gonna be using uh, cash flow worksheet. Okay. So first of all, what did that CF0 mean? The CF0 means this is your initial cost. Okay, so what is your initial cost here in time zero? There is no, we are not talking about NP, something like we are not buying some project, something right now, right? We are just trying to find out the value of this company. So in this case, CF0 is just leave that zero. Okay, just leave that zero. As soon as you enter something, it's gonna have this forward facing triangle. That means you enter that number. So make sure you enter those numbers. Okay. And what do? Look at this calculator, up or down. So let me go down. My C01 is actually, that means cash flow number 1. Okay. C, this one is F01, which one is frequency of the first cash flow. How many times are you getting that $30? Definitely one time, right? So let's just look. Uh, so it's coming back to um, first one because I haven't entered the number 8. But let me just summarize this one. Okay. So basically, these numbers are CF0 and CO01, CO2, CO3. Okay. And in this case, wouldn't have actually. Let me just put it right here. So that's where the CF0 belongs to. So my this number equals to 30. So I'm copying this number from here. So let me just put this number here and make it nice looking. Okay. So I'm just showing you how to put these numbers in your calculator and find NP. So let me put these numbers in your calculator. So right now, look at here, CF0 is 0. So let's leave that number 0. And C01 is negative 30. So 30, put a negative sign, enter, down. So how many times are you getting that $30? You are getting just one time, right? So put this one. Go to the second cash flow, which is $70. Enter, go down. How many times are you getting that $70? You're just getting one time, right? So enter, because that does frequency of the second cash flow is just 1, right? Just go down. The third cash flow is 2036. Actually, $200 minus 50 equals to $150 is your value, your equity value. Same thing here. We have equity value is 1466.61 million. Okay. Now, how many shares we have? We have 100 million. Okay. So we have that 100 million. Let's put here. Okay. Now, let me close this one. So basically, your intrinsic stock price per share equals to your total value divided by number of shares. That's gonna give you the stock price. Okay, so that's your answer for question number C. So make sure this is the equation you need to know, and sometimes people just include long-term debt here. So actually you need to include all payable. Okay, all if you are account payable, if you are because all those are not your property. If you borrow some money, or if you um, buy something, some inventory on credit, things like that, they are payable. So you have to pay all of those payables, and leftover is yours, right? So this is our leftover, right? This is the whole company's value, and you pay, your debt holder, your preferred stock holder, you pay for your inventory and all those things. So leftover is value of the equity. Equity value divided by number of shares. That's going to give you the stock price. Okay. So this is how you're going to be computing, intrinsic stock price per share. Well, I think, probably now you already know how to find this value, but let me just make small changes. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is just going to make small changes. Okay. So let me just copy all this information from here, because I'm going to show you something different. Okay. So I just copied that information from the top. If I have, this is what happened here. Let's see. Okay. So I'm just fixing something here. So let's change this problem. How about the cash flows after year 3? Let's make this question straight. Expected to grow, to continue growing 8. Let's make what percent? Whatever percent. Let's make it 3%. 3%. Expect cash flows are expected to grow. Expected to grow 3% rate forever after year 3. Okay. So how do you solve this problem? So if you have that information, this information will not be given. Okay. So this information will not be given. So now this is the problem. So you will not be having this information. Okay. So let me solve this problem now. The only difference here is, I make this question straight. Okay, you have cash flow 1, 2, 3, but after year 3 you don't have cash flows, but those cash flows they're gonna grow by 3% forever after year 3. How do you find out, this terminal value? How do you find value of operation? How do you find insurance share value? Let's work on it. Okay. So first of all, you need to find out this number here. Okay, that's called your cash flow 8 times n plus 1. So what is our n right now? Our n is 3, right? So our n is 3. If you want to find out cash flow 8 times n plus 1, so which is this one here, n plus 1. Okay, so how do you do that? Actually, this one equals to, as you can see here, this if you multiply n by 1 plus growth rate, you're gonna get this number here, right? So equals to 81 times 1 plus growth rate is well, let me just make some, I forgot to put here my our growth rate, just summarizing from here, is 3%, right? It's 3%. Okay, so this one equals to our value at time n times 1 plus our growth rate. That's gonna give you this value. Okay, so now to find this value here, you are just using this number. Okay, so that one here is, again, you have just double work here. So this one equals to this divided by, okay, WACC minus growth rate. Okay, you can do this way, or if you don't want to find out this one, what I would do is I will do this guy times 1 plus growth rate, okay, divided by WACC minus growth rate. Okay, so did I get the same thing? Yes, yes, we did, right? So solve whatever way you feel comfortable, but this is how you're gonna find the terminal value. Why you need to find terminal value? Because you need to find out the net cash flows to find the value of operation, and I already walked you through value of operation. So basically that growth rate is very important in this case. This value, terminal value, is actually value of all future cash flows going forward from year 3. So year 4, year 5, year 10, 15, 20, 30, it just keep on going. So you can just keep on working for 100 years, still you're gonna get the present value is gonna be still the value of operation is still gonna be the same. So it's not gonna be different. Okay, so that's very important stuff. Okay, so here in this video, I try to demonstrate how to find out intrinsic value of stock price, how to find out the value of operation, how to find the value of horizon value or terminal value, and this is really, really important stuff. Please, thank you.